as were identified in the motion, convene the closed session heard, discussed and considered by the New Kent County School Board.
Mr. Mead, do I hear a motion to approve the certification of the closed session?
I move we approve the certification of the closed session.
Thank you, Ms. Barber. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Gaskill. And a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? No. Motion carries. All right, good evening, everyone, and welcome to our July work session back in our original home in the school board office. Like to get started this evening. We are under new business, item number 2. The first item on our agenda, letter A, is the regulations for school activity funds, policy DGC, which is essential goal number 3.
And Ms. Whitford, I'm going to be pitch hitting for Ms. Morheim this evening.
Thank you.
So what you have before you is a change in our regulations. I just want to thank, before I get into it, Shannon Walton and Haney Morheim from our finance department. What we're trying to, one of our major focus areas is to be more efficient and streamlined in our practices. So you have the existing regulation, which are the bonding requirements for school activity funds at the top, which have been redlined. The regulations for the maintenance of school activity funds, that is the focus of this reg, is there for you. And really what it does is it names a new document, the New Kent County Public School Procedure Manual for School Funds. As we add a school, so now having 5 schools, making sure that we have streamlined processes in place so that what happens at George Watkins is the same as happens at New Kent Elementary and Quinton and so forth. So we're introducing a procedure manual for school funds. We do have a draft version of that for you board members. The team is going to work with our bookkeepers and our administrators later this week to finalize that draft. But it just goes step by step on every part of school activity funds so that we are coordinated across our schools. Regulations do not have to be approved by the board, but they should be reviewed by the board. So wanted to bring this regulation to you this evening and answer any questions that you may have regarding that regulation.
And do we have a PTO up and running yet at Quinton Elementary School?
We do. So we also have our Quinton Elementary School principal here tonight, Ms. Christine Pilger. It is her first day. So what a first day to come on a board work session when we're talking about the construction of the new school. But we do have a PTO that is up and running and moving forward. So I don't know that Chris has met with them
Just
It's later this week or next week?
later this week and next week. So yes, and they're excited to get started.
board members, any comments or questions on this piece? No vote required, but just aware of this. Okay. All right, our next item B, is healthcare rates updates under essential goal number 3. Ms. Allison Anderson.
Sure, thank you. Madam Chair, as we've been discussing this year, we've been working for the past 6 months or so to get our rates ready for our employees. We have proposed our final plan. And as we talk about that, we really have had the goal this year of simplifying our plan. As you are an employee, would come and look at all the options available to you for healthcare, you would see 5 different tiers of wellness and non-wellness and multiple plans. And so we have tried to simplify and streamline it. You can see it on the screen. I also have copies if you need to see them. But we basically have taken that giant offering and pared it down to make it much simpler into wellness and non-wellness. So we have 2 different plans that we'll be offering. Our typical Value Advantage plan for members of our wellness program, and that will be very streamlined this year as well. All it will take to be in your wellness plan will be a physical, something that most employees receive every year anyway. So we will have that plan for wellness and the plan for non-wellness. There will be a very significant difference in the wellness option versus the non-wellness option. So employees that see a raise in rates and look at the wellness rates and compare and see that if they're on the wellness side, it will be saving a significant versus being on the non-wellness side. The other option that we have is a high deductible plan of wellness and non-wellness. We're very excited about this plan this year. I've been educating myself. Our team's been educating themselves on high deductible plans, and our insurance agents for Grit have been helping us with that. And we really come to see that we think more enrollment in our high deductible plan will, in the end, truly help our employees. So we have that offering as well. We will be communicating this plan over the course, starting about next week, and including not only the typical benefit sessions for open enrollment, but also sessions to inform our staff on the benefits of each plan and help them to decide what plan is best for them. The most significant difference that you'll see in the plan this year is that despite the fact that we are continuing to add more money into our plans for employees, we've added over $700,000 into the plan. We still have some high claims that have made these costs, just continue to need to go up. So with that said, we are putting that in there, and we have options for everybody that will keep them, in line and have them available. I apologize, I think I lost my train of thought. But we have been putting that money into the plan, but we'll need to have a slight raise in family and spouse plans. So costs are still low for employees. Costs are still considerably the same for employee plus children, but the major significant changes that our employees will see will be with spouses. And so sometimes our employees might even see this year that it might be more efficient for them to have a spouse on a spouse's plan if that's available. We, of course, will continue to offer the coverage. For example, my family needs it. But we, if they have an option, they might want to, for the first time, look at that option and see what's available for their families. But we'll be doing all kinds of counseling and coaching to help them along the way and learn, what's best for them and their family in this transition. My hope is that they'll see that it's simpler, that it's easier to kind of go through and pick, and that how deductible plan might be best for them and their family.
And Ms. Anderson may have said this while I was communicating to Sean through the screen to make the screen bigger. But wellness, really, we're moving from the 5 tiers, and you do this, you do that, to we really want you to go to your doctor, get your physical, get your blood work to be part of our wellness plan. So it's more accessible. It's accessible to all of our employees. And we want more employees to take advantage of, to go to your doctor, get your preventative care and those pieces. So we think that is a win for our employees.
So that's the only criteria on the wellness.
Yes, ma'am. And we will still offer things. We have received some funding for a grant to offer a program called Burn Along to our families and our spouses, our employees, spouses and kids and everybody. And it's an app that will be able to help them and have classes and all different kinds of things that they can get involved with. So we'll continue to subsidize our programs with things like that to help them along the way too.
Yeah, we'll still have wellness incentives and do a lot of different wellness things for employees, but it no longer creates a third or the fourth benefit tier of wellness.
What's the difference between employee plus family and family dual?
Family dual is when both spouses work for our school system.
Okay.
So we have several couples that are married, and so that's the dual system.
You receive an additional, as 2 employees, you receive additional school board contribution. That's why those rates are different.
And we've been discussing this. I appreciate your support with this throughout this year and trying to find a plan and create something that's easy and best for our employees in the situation that we're in.
So with that, a high deductible is considered what, $3,000?
Yes, I believe so.
Yeah.
When do these new rates take effect?
October 1.
Okay.
And with the high deductible plan, we do contribute $1,000 on their behalf.
And we're learning about that and trying to find the ways. We, quite honestly, were surprised when that was hey, this is what's best for your situation. So we're learning all we can about those programs so that we can pass that on.
Any other questions, board members?
So the rates don't actually require school board approval, but it's Candy wanted to bring it to you. We bring the insurance updates quite often to you throughout the year. So you can see that.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Ms. Anderson. Our next item under new business is item C, the safety and security briefing. This is under essential goal number 2, to implement and continuously evaluate the crisis and emergency plans. Mr. Jonathan Hoffman.
Thank you. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about safety and security of our school buildings. We recently conducted our annual safety audits. These took place at the end of May, the beginning of June. One of our schools participated in a triannual audit, which is a little bit more of a robust audit. Each of our schools goes through one of the triannual audits every 3 years. The recommendations and the things I'm going to talk about tonight are a result of those audits, and also our continued cooperation with the Sheriff's Department and the fire and EMS. So the first thing I'll talk about is our security cameras. At New Kent High School, we had a complete system upgrade, and what that meant is we have replaced all of the cameras at the high school. The cameras that were at the high school were from when the school was built in 2008. I'm sure when they were put in 2008, they were very modern and current, and as you can imagine, they are no longer that way. Each of those cameras has been replaced. We've also added additional cameras in areas where our staff had told us, hey, we need a little more coverage in these areas. With that, we're also in the process, we haven't completed this yet, we're looking at adding cameras to our football facility. And that is something that Tim Pollock right now is working with to make sure that we have good coverage out there. New Kent Elementary School, we've made some small additions, and most of those are on the exterior. They had only 2 cameras outside of the building. We have added 8 additional cameras outside of New Kent Elementary School, and all of those are also multi-hit cameras to provide much better coverage of what's going on around that building. At New Kent Middle School and GW, they have been updated in the past couple of years, so they're very current. We are always in good communication with the schools if we need to add something. At some point, it always comes up, there's an area, hey, we need to get some coverage here. So I think we do a very good job of trying to monitor that as we move forward. The next piece would be our school entry security. As I said, some of these things we've already done, like the cameras. This is something that we are currently working on in many of our buildings. At New Kent Elementary School, many of you are familiar with that building. As you enter, you can turn right and go to the cafeteria, or you can turn left and go towards the classrooms and the library. What we are looking to do on each of those side hallways is add some storefront doors. Right now, we are working to get some engineering done to ensure that that works for that building. We think that will work there. We just need to make sure that egress is acceptable. So that will be something that you can look for to be added in the near future. At New Kent Middle School and George Watkins Elementary School, we're looking to add vestibules. Very similar to what we have currently at our high school. You come into the building, we have staff there that would kind of check you in and then would move you forward to your next location. GW is a little bit more tricky because of the configuration of the building. So we're working to kind of get that figured out. New Kent Middle School, it's a little bit of a different setup. We think that'll be an easier fix than GW, but we're looking at vestibules here in the near future. We've had people out of our buildings to take a look and give us some proposals and ideas of what would work at those 2 schools. And obviously, New Kent High School was recently updated in very good shape, so we feel good about what we have there in terms of entryway security.
And board members, you'll see tonight an appropriation for security grant. That is different than this work here. You will see in a future board meeting an additional appropriation for some of this work. But we'll make sure that you get all the details on that. But to do those vestibules is no small feat, and comes with some costs, which we believe is completely worth it. But we'll be able to do appropriation through year end for that kind of work.
And Dr. Nichols, on that, he's been so kind, whether we will be applying for next year's security grant, and whether we get that or not, we plan on moving forward. That's something that we're not going to just only do if we have the grant. So we'll move forward with that. Additionally, things that were noted during the audits, we're going to provide additional signage around all of our buildings, asking people to make sure they move to the front office area to sign in. Also letting people know that they are on camera. And that's something that we have found is a big deterrent. And with the amount of cameras that we now have on the exterior, we think that people knowing that will help us to reduce some of that extra traffic and some of the stuff that goes on with that traffic. We're going to be upgrading exterior doors, particularly at Newton Elementary School. We have some doors that have issues when we have weather. When they get wet, they seem to expand and sometimes they stick. You have to slam the door to close them. And as we're talking about elementary students, that probably doesn't always happen. So we are currently in the process of replacing all of those doors to ensure that we have a safe perimeter anytime a child goes outside. With that, we're going to be doing an exterior rekeying at the elementary school. We need to make sure that we have some key control in terms of who's getting in and out of the buildings. That is not a key that many people should have, only the required folks. And right now, because of the number of renovations we've had over the years, I think several people have keys that we probably don't know about. So we're in the process of making sure we know who has a key and who's coming in. Digital mapping, that's a new thing. We have been in contact, we're in the process of working through this. Chris has been a tremendous help over in Tim's office. And essentially what we're doing, they're going to come in and do a digital mapping. And while that sounds pretty simple, what will happen is these maps will be sent to all of the necessary emergency responders that could come to our building. Right now, we know that our sheriff's department and our fire department are very familiar with our buildings, but if we ever had an incident where we had outside folks come in, they're not going to be familiar. The mapping would be available to them on whatever they have in their hand, a phone or a tablet. It would be sent to them automatically. It would be calibrated to where they're entering the building, so they don't have to look at a map and figure out where they are. And allows them to very quickly to figure out through communication, hey, head down the yellow hallway, turn right at the library, and you'll be at classroom C13. So God forbid anything ever does happen in our school, but if it does, we will make sure that we have really clear communication with folks that are not familiar with our buildings. And it really comes at not a real big expense. We were very surprised that it was very affordable, and we're moving through that. We expect to have much of this done within the next couple of months. So we're moving forward with that. Finally, the training piece. All of our schools, as you know, they go through fire, tornado, shelter in place, and many other sorts of training to make sure they're familiar. We make sure that we're providing all the necessary upfront information for our younger folks, so as we don't scare them. As you can imagine, 5 and 6-year-olds might not quite understand what's going on, but we are very much on top of the training. We also are working hand in hand with our sheriff's department. They do quite a few of their own trainings in our buildings to make sure that they are very familiar with the buildings. And some of the stuff they do doesn't take place, well, obviously when school's in session. They will utilize our buildings over winter break and during the summer, and they will hold some kind of mock things that they want to practice through. So that's some of the things that we are currently doing to make sure that we have safe, secure school buildings.
And it's our goal, Sheriff McLaughlin, Chief Opet, and I met often, but met about a month ago. Not only do we want to do this to keep New Kent safe, we want to become a model place that other people come to see how we train, what we do in those components. So that's the multi-year training plan that we're committing to and drawing out, which we'll hear a lot more about as we put that together. We do a lot of training, we do a lot of drilling, but we really like to take it to another level and then become a model site that people can love.
How many police officers are on duty during the school business day? Do you know with New Kent?
I know we have a SRO resource officer, but outside of that, I don't know. While I'm saying that, we did receive the SRO grant for, I was given Andrew a little time to listen.
Andrew's thinking, 1, 2, 3.
So we did receive the grant for Quentin Elementary. Sheriff and I were committed to an SRO being at Quentin no matter what, but we did apply and receive the grant to have that SRO. That's we're very thankful and excited about that. That number.
We're about 18 to 20.
Okay, it's about 18 to 20.
I have a question. I'm curious if you all investigated electronic card access control.
Yeah, we're working on that actually, and that's something that this is the research says that's the best way to go about that. Tim and his department have been actively trying to upgrade many of our facilities to make sure that we have that. And moving forward, I know at Quentin, it's going to be 100% that way. And as we retrofit, we're trying to do that as well.
We have that already on all outside schools already.
And what he's talking about there, the vegetables, they will have access card, access, the teachers will be able to come, just like at the hospital. Be able to come and take a swipe to the first door to get in, they'll come to the second door and get in that way. And anybody that's being buzzed in comes to the little box, and that's where you stop at, and then you'll be let that thing in.
Okay. Thank you.
They're hard to get right now. I'm
They
still
are.
waiting the ones for the house, I mean, for the equipment, but we got them everywhere else.
Mr. Hocken, I think you talked about this, but what's the timeline? Some of this work's already started, but what's the end goal to have a lot of?
Yeah, right now, we're doing engineering on the vestibules and the storefronts. That's hard to say because of supply. I'm not trying to just say that, but I would imagine before the end of the school year, we would have much of this work done. Some of the smaller things, the signage, obviously, that's not a huge deal. But vestibules and storefronts inside of a building, it's a little more work. I would tell you, I would love to say it's done by winter break. That would be a big goal, and Tim's not going to be happy with me for saying that. But we are pushing this to get in and get an order and get it taken care of. But because of some of the regulations with egress and fire and things of that nature, we have to make sure the engineering, it's a little more than measuring and ordering right now. We have to get some other folks involved, and then we're going to try to make this happen as soon as possible.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Any other questions or comments?
I was just gonna say, I appreciate all the hard work I know that you guys have done in this based on the current environment that we're in. And I think we've talked about this a little bit earlier in the year, is, you don't it's impossible to put a price tag on safety. And that's why I appreciate you being so aggressive in going after this and moving forward. And I know we're in the same boat as every other school division that's having the same conversations, so we're competing for the same things they're competing for as well. And I know that's a challenge, but at least we're making steps in the right direction, because I think that we can honestly say, when it comes to the overall evaluation, I know in my time here in the first 3 years, we've never had these intense conversations about, oh, we've got to upgrade our cameras. We've got to be able to have this coverage. We need to have more intense scrutiny on entrance and exits and things like that. And so I think it's a great opportunity for us to move forward and take care of the students and the faculty and the community in a way that shows them that we actually are serious about this. So thank you so much for doing that.
Thank you. All right, moving along under item 3, old business. Letter A, VSBA policy updates. This is the second reading, board members. This is under essential goal number 3, to develop safe, clean, functional infrastructure and operations to support student and staff success. Dr. Nichols.
Yes, thank you, Ms. Swinford. As you mentioned, this is a second read. So board members, you have the policies and the summary sheet for each policy. Most are amendments to Virginia Code, as some of that has changed to make sure that everything lines up with that update. So be happy to answer any questions you have on the second read.
Board members, this does come for vote at the end of the meeting. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to ask. Hearing none. Move along to the second item, the 2022-2023 student handbook, code of conduct. This is also a second reading of the student handbook, also under essential goal number 2. Again, Dr. Nichols are working on this.
Yes, Mr. Miller is going to help me with the second read of the code of conduct. Mr. Ellis did that for us on the
Correct.
first read. You had some comments and some things you wanted to address. We also had a parent advisory of sorts related to code of conduct in between, so we just wanted to bring an update and then potentially ask for your approval.
So since last meeting, looking at the file that have been generated, a couple of the updates that have changed since last meeting, that you'll notice in the board docs, is around. So all the changes are on page 32, 33, 34. And So we did update dress code with the different items that we had in there last month. Then with the portable electronic communication devices, we had a definition clearly in there of what all that entails. We also added in there a slate of consequences for how that would play out in a classroom or in the building for students who are using them and not supposed to. And then one of the major or larger changes which I would ask for last meeting was information on sort of walkouts. So there's a section in there for walkouts that clearly states that students should not be participating in walkouts and delineates the consequences for anyone who's taking part in those. And you'll notice in that section, when it gets down to like consequences, it is a class 1 or 2 offense in our code of conduct. And so the consequences include everything like in-school suspension, because similar to walking out, you're not going to, or attendance issues, suspend a child if they're not coming to school. And so we're not going to put this child in ISS if we want in the classroom. So that's why we see that. I believe those were all the adjustments since the last. Have the answers and questions we have. Since then.
Upon approval, if approved, the work then shifts to the schools to really publicize more of the high school and the middle school more than anything, publicize these shifts for families and to staff and ensure implementations. That's our work with them in August, and then their work as we move towards the start of school. So implementation has always been the bigger obstacle than what is actually written in the code of conduct. So we want to really streamline that and be tighter and consistent.
And would you not say, I guess this is a question for both of you, is there some wisdom when we hand out or publish this, I guess, for this year online, is there any way that we can highlight to say, these are the changes that have been made since last year, please refer to X, Y, Z, so these parents and staff people understand this is not the same codes and policies for next year.
Yeah, so we'll do some specific call outs to those things as we present it more in like letter form, but then also back to school, open houses, as is typical with principal when they meet with the parents, they'll go over to here's code of conduct, make sure that these are some specific things, but make sure that they come off this specific items.
And there is this opportunity for requirement for families to sign off that they understand and review it, so we can do that call out on the front of that as well.
Yeah.
Here's a summary of the major shifts, which aren't that many, which makes it easier to do. On that.
So they get just the changes, or do they get?
They get the entire book. But we can, to Mr. Mead's point, I guess the point, you get the whole book, but let us tell you what's different.
This year versus last year.
It's largely the same, which makes it easier to highlight the shifts and changes.
Because this has certainly gotten a lot of attention throughout, the area. And so, we just want to be confident that we have, looked at this diligently and that it gets executed.
Yeah.
Is really and communicated, but definitely the execution and enforcement is going to be key moving to the school year.
There's definitely been discussion in the region 1 staffs, and we've had some email chains going around just what's that like?
Which I think is really encouraging, because the other thing that it does I can pick on Andrew here, but the other thing it does, it helps reinforce what they're trying to enforce, right? It shows that the board and the faculty and the administration are supportive of these processes, where it helps the SROs to enforce these processes, that you can just literally say, this is what it says, right? So it kind of eliminates some of that gray area in the past that has probably been gray, and kind of puts us in sometimes in a precarious situation of making decisions. So I'm really confident that this is going to be a good thing moving forward as we evaluate this.
Okay. This does come before us for a vote this evening. Next item C, Quentin Elementary School construction update under essential goal number 3, which is to efficiently manage the growth of student population. Mr. Tim Pollock and Mr. Jonathan.
As they're coming up here, I got a phone call earlier today asking about will we be open at time, which isn't unusual working through a construction project. And I said, well, tell me why you're concerned. There were 1 million people out there on Sunday and they were working for us. Absolutely, that's how we're gonna be open all time. So we just, quick summary, we do plan to be open on time. We do plan to have the certificate of occupancy. Just want to thank Mr. Pollock and Mr. Hockman for all their work to make sure that happens and that it happens under budget. So that was your intro.
I'm going to lead off, and like what Dr. Nichols just said, I want to thank Tim. When Tim walks into that building, people will start working really hard. But Tim is not one to shy away in a positive way, but he's done a great job of making sure they're moving. So thank you, Tim. I'll give you a brief update on some things that are going real well. In the kitchen, all the equipment has been delivered. We're finalizing that install. We just had a courtesy owner inspection and obviously pointed out some things that need to be fixed and worked on, but that's great to be doing on July 18th. So that went well today. Classroom furniture, much of that has been delivered. That is a 3 or 4 week process of getting things delivered and then putting things, that classroom furniture into the classroom. So, but that has started. There's a definitive plan on the arrival and the construction of all that furniture. Areas C and F, we substantially completed July 12th. They also did a very good deep cleaning of those areas. Area C and S punch list began on July 13th. I think they are finalizing that. They may be close to completion, which is good news. Above ceiling inspections are complete in all of the Area E classrooms. So they're moving forward on the other side of that building. The playground asphalt has been installed. The main office area is about 90% complete. And everyone we're working with, they are very confident that we will have certificate of occupancy by August 12th, which was the determined date we were supposed to have it by. So that's why there are folks out there working double shifts for 7 days a week. So we're very happy with what we see out there.
And I want to give credit also to Harlan Construction and the work that they're doing. You know, from their CEO, vice president, to when we go to a construction meeting on Thursday at 1 o'clock, we're all at that table and things are just moving faster. We're not having to go through layers. We're not having to do those things. It just, every day you go there, it is different. One of our staff members was there in the morning and went back in the afternoon and couldn't believe the number of things that have been crossed off at that time. So I wish we would have been rolling like this in December, to take Mr. Pollock's words. But you know, that's where we are. We've had some supply chain issues that we've navigated. But I think to be close to on time and well under budget in a pandemic with all the shortages, just a testament to the team.
And building officials office is on board with you all.
And stuff everywhere.
Inspections, so they're able to help when time comes.
And that's another thank you, Ms.
Yeah,
Carver, the county, Brian specifically with the county. They've just been, everybody's just been such a great partner with this. We get to move a little faster at scheduling things. It's just been phenomenal.
It has.
Yeah, they're on site every day.
The team all the way through to get it done, so it's, I mean, I've been doing this a long time. It's the best I've ever been involved in having that type help the whole way through.
And that's a lot.
Yeah.
Coming from you.
I mean, it really is. I mean, it's good for everybody though. Everybody's working well together, everybody's moving to get to school, and that was the whole goal for everybody. So right now, where we're at on the school.
Yeah. So a couple of the things that we were concerned about, the playground. Tim has miraculously located playground equipment at a fraction of the cost. And to be honest with you, initially we were looking at installing playground equipment after winter break. Now we're looking at a late September, early October install at about half the cost. So, you're not allowed to talk about that.
Because of the work session.
One 4x4 and one 2x4.
And this is another part. another,
That is, I went somewhere else.
it's another partnership with the county, and it's a cooperative contract, folks who did, right. So we've been able to really leverage that partnership and secure,
Great.
two great play spaces for kids. And the key is to get it here before winter, otherwise we can't really install it. So,
Not too long ago, they told us that it would be impossible to get the quality of floor in the gym
Right.
that we wanted. It's arrived. It obviously has to acclimate to the school building. It's been doing that. And just found out today, they're gonna start installing next week. So we will have a gym floor. Stage floor, we think it will be arriving soon. So that would be the one thing. It wasn't great news, but we will continue to monitor that. They're pushing to get that done. So we're waiting. It says it has arrived. That's inaccurate as of this moment.
and stage floor is not a showstopper for us to open until September 3rd.
What's the material for the gym floor that you also,
We want to work with spec, and we didn't undercut anything. It's exactly what was.
It's a hardwood floor.
So it is hardwood.
It's a wood number.
It's the grade, everything's exactly what we spec, the underfloor and everything. Nothing got.
So now Tim's gonna kind of walk you through a map of the building and some other specifics that are going on.
Okay, everybody's familiar, section D is our gym, we were just talking about our cafeteria. Like he said earlier today, I met with Leslie, we went up there and did a owner walkthrough to basically give them an idea at first what we see right offhand that needs to be before we get the health department in. The cafeteria, we're at 95%. The only thing I know in the cafeteria itself that we do not have in there are the shades, the adjustable shades are not in there. Lighting, everything else is done in the cafeteria. It is being used as a staging area right now. It's got all the wood that just came in. Before, when I left your office, the wood that's out in the hallway, the areas out there, that just came in today, it came in between that time I was there this morning and this evening. So they've got that stored in there right now too, plus our furniture that's going in section C and F. We are ready in C and F. Basically, what I'm trying to do is push them out of the wings. Basically, the punch list of me and Emily went up there and we went through the first phase of punch list. And personally, I thought we would, and she did too, that we found a lot more we did. It's very well, it was very well, the casework is really top notch. Some of the best I've ever seen on that. And they're cleaning now, getting that area pushed out and just doing the final touches. The only thing that we had issues with is the lighting. The lighting is so, how do I put it? It's so sophisticated and got so much control issues that you deal with. You've got where the sun coming through the window, adjust the lights and all this other daylight, evening light, and you know what I'm talking about on that. So there's a lot to do with that. They're trying to get all the bugs out of that, which I'm sure we'll be doing that for a little while. All right, section A, where the main office area is, the art room, choir, they're at 95% too. We've already got our above ceilings in them. So the only thing you got left in there is even the floorings in the office areas. So that area is about 90%. Outside, they were pouring the concrete sidewalks when I got there this evening for the drop-off side. And they're gonna asphalt in the next 2 days, that the last loop around there. And that'll be the last of the asphalt. So that'll take care of all the sidewalk coming around to the front doors, which in section D. Section D is my problem child. And section D is the farthest behind. We're probably at 60% there. That's got the most plumbing in it. That's got the most detail in it. We had bathroom petitions that had to be ordered to be changed and stuff. So we got them here. We compromised and worked that out on the bathroom petitions. So they're been ordered. They should be in the next couple of weeks. That's going to be the last. As we're coming in, that's going to be my last wing right there. Everybody asked that before. That's my upstairs. We've got the upstairs in section E is about 90% done. I still don't have casework for both of them sides.
Is it scheduled to arrive?
Yes.
Okay.
Everything's scheduled to be here, but it's just, that's the final push. I want you to know that's where we're going to be. I'm pushing them out of the building, right out the front doors. Is how I'm trying to do it. Is move it there. Everybody's kind of to that end, then bottom them up.
Now, I will say, when you walk through section D, you can't get in a single room that doesn't have 1, 2, or 3 people. That's a great thing and a problem too, because now we're on top of each other with the, but it is not for a lack of bodies and moving that forward. So,
I mean, they work at nights doing the floors, they're grinding the floors at night, we're basically trying to stay for, so you can't be grinding floors with people standing on them. So that part, they're doing it at night, they're doing the weekends, Saturdays, Sundays. And they're doing a good job of staging it now, getting it, so everybody's staying busy.
and as I mentioned before, we do have a new principal. So Chris Cover is official day 1. So she has been a principal for at least 12 years. We did open a school together, so she's very familiar with wearing a hard hat and having a punch list and having to navigate some of those challenges. We met as a division leadership team with Chris this morning. She's already got plans for community events and being creative about that. Some more information to come there. We are fully staffed, which is exciting. And just kind of moving forward. We did invite her to be here tonight, so the public could see, and so she could be a part of the construction of Big Fun.
And this is last, they did not send an updated video for this month. It's supposed to be done Friday. They have not completed that yet. We can watch this one, but it's a repeat.
That's all. Oh my gosh. I guess it is good to watch. You see how much has been done.
Yeah.
That is the hallway that is complete, the 2nd and 3rd grade. But a lot happened in a month. So that is the upstairs 5th grade, which is also complete. Both canopies done. The board members, we're actually running out of construction meetings for you. So we're, we've been doing this for, gosh, almost a year and a half now. We'll continue doing it while we're making it happen. I just want to thank Tim, his team, for driving this process.
Any change orders in that since last time?
I say the other thing that I may have coming up there will be anything with, there's an issue with the shades because of some steel adjustments that were done where they ended up further away from the window than I prefer. That's the only real, and they were encased in the ceilings, so they'll have to be now moved up and underneath and surface mounted in that way. And that's due to drawstrings power because they're the ones that have 3 versus 2. I'm okay on the 2 with the outside, but the one in the middle have nowhere to fasten that.
Safety issue.
So safety.
These are roller shades.
Yes.
It's 6 classrooms that have that. So it's not a huge.
That's not-
Yeah.
I mean, it's, yeah, like I said, there.
I did have a community request over the weekend about doing an open house tour. Absolutely, late fall. We're
September.
gonna get the 600 kids in running and moving, but we will open it up for some community events once we're underway. Absolutely.
All right, excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tim.
Thanks, Tim.
You know, I just, I'll go back to what Brian said, that I think is, and it'll be said multiple times over the next 6 months, I'm sure, is that, you know, this is the 2nd largest project that New County has taken on since the high school in the entire county, $36+ million. And with the other projects, it is, it's one of the few projects of this magnitude that New Kent has taken on in the last 12 or 15 years that has come in on time and under budget during the worst economic time we've had, during the worst pandemic that has ever happened in the history of the state. And we were still able to pull that off, which I think is just, it says something to the fortitude of having great people like Tim and his staff, and with yourself, and great administrators like Brian, and the support pieces of picking the right people to do the right jobs. And I think that's really what it is. And so I'm grateful to have seen that and experienced that in my time here, because you know, it really is incredible to watch that from the ground up. Thank you, Brian.
Well said.
Thank you.
We look forward to that to August 12th with the certificate of occupancy.
I think by the next work session is right around that time. So our next construction meeting will be.
Should we have our work session at the school?
We used to do that.
Right, good, rotate that.
Occasionally.
We never had it.
Late fall, winter.
We'll do that.
We are going to host New Kent University at Quinton Elementary this year.
Really?
So we worked that out. with the county.
Really?
We'll host our part. We usually do it at the high school. We wanted to showcase.
I think I have one question about, installing the technology, because we don't want to do that while there's anything else going on in the room, but that's going to be a challenge if y'all figured out how the strategy for getting all the technology in.
Yes, so Mr. Terry is in the isolation chamber. Has been integral in kind of coordinating these pieces, and I'm really testing him for picking this up. He was not on the planning side of this, but it's all been running with it. So do you want to speak to technology?
We're all handled, and we're not gonna put the equipment in until the dust is gone.
Excellent.
And so we've got we've had supply chain issues with equipment, switches and routers and things like that. Believe it or not, some of the stuff is gonna be here until November or January. So we're using, stuff that we have in stock, backups and spares to get the school open. But we will put that equipment in when the school is clean and ready, not now, and discover that none of it works because it's all full of concrete dust. We have a plan.
Good.
Well, having said that, from the county perspective, have they reached out to request using the gym for Parks and Rec, for games, for the basketball season?
After school and school program.
Before and after school, yes. So we're a partnership with Kim Turner, but outside of that, I think they're waiting for it to be finished before it becomes a community space for basketball
Okay,
and everything else.
All right. okay. They'll be knocking at the door.
Absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely. It's a great space.
All right, wonderful. All right, moving, our last item is the appropriation of the security grant and matching funds, also under essential goal number 3, Mr. Hoffman.
So for fiscal year 22, we were awarded a grant from the Department of Education in the amount of roughly $110,000 for security equipment. We also had a small portion of that, which we had to match, which we did. At the end of this year, the end of fiscal year 22, the state had extra money left over and allocated us an additional $44,000 for this, for the purpose of security equipment grant. We also had a small matching amount, which was roughly $11,000 for that additional $44,000. So what we are asking is that the school board appropriate these additional funds and transfer the required match of $11,045 from CIP funding, as we have done in the past.
Board members, this does come for a vote this evening under action.
So is this the money that we are using to upgrade everything? Is that all the cameras and
Yep.
all of that?
That is correct, and it'll actually show up under 2 years, fiscal year 22 and 23, because we can't get all the work done in the 22 year. So that's why you'll see 2 different years on it.
If this is primary camera, we have another grant that is due August 1st for the following year, which will go after those competitive grants as well and do some of the additional work that Mr. Hoffman highlighted.
Any other questions or comments? All right, great. Hearing none, we will move forward with item 4, which is our action items. We have 4 action items this evening, board members. Here we go. Do I hear a motion to approve the superintendent's recommendations on personnel matters as presented?
Did we make a motion to approve the personnel matters as presented?
Thank you, Ms. Gaskell. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. McBee. Board members, any discussion on this action item for personnel? All right, hearing none, we'll move forward with the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None. The motion carries. Next item 4B is to consider approval of the VSBA policy updates. Do I hear a motion to approve the VSBA policy updates as presented?
I move we approve the VSBA policy updates as presented.
All right, thank you, Ms. Barber. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Mead. Board members, any discussion? Hearing none, we'll move forward with the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None opposed. The motion carries. Item 4C, to consider approval of the 2022-2023 student handbook / code of conduct revisions as presented. Do I hear a motion to consider approval of the student handbook code of conduct and revisions as presented?
Make a motion that we consider the approval of the 2022-23 student handbook code of conduct as presented.
Thank you. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Gaskell. Board members, any discussion? Hearing none, we'll move forward with the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None opposed. The motion carries. And item 4D, consider approval of the appropriation of security grant and matching funds as presented. Do I hear a motion to approve the appropriation of security grant and matching funds as presented?
I move we approve the appropriation of security grant and matching funds as presented.
All right, thank you, Ms. Barber. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Gaskell. Board members, any discussion? Hearing none, we'll move forward with a vote. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? None. The motion carries. That completes the action items for this evening. And just a reminder, our next meeting will be our August monthly meeting, which will be held on Monday, August 1st, 2022, which will be held in the County Administration Building in their boardroom. With that, our meeting is adjourned at